With Jey Uso supposedly quitting WWE, is the Bloodline coming to an end sooner than later? And is WWE running out of ideas for this group? Let's talk about that and more. When it comes to the latest on the Bloodline, we have to go back to SummerSlam, where Jey Uso took on Roman Reigns not only for the undisputed Universal title, but to become the Tribal Chief in a match known as Tribal Warfare. In the bout, at the end of it, as Jey Uso looked to be on his way to victory and claiming the throne, his own brother, his own twin brother, Jimmy Uso, would return, pull him out of the ring, and screw him out of that opportunity, causing him to lose that match. After that, it would be reported that Jimmy Uso was now internally listed on the WWE roster as a heel. Then we got to Friday Night SmackDown, the August 11th edition of the show. The Usos would be in the ring, Jimmy and Jey, face to face with Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman in the background, in the corner of the ring, watching as this conflict brews between the two twins. Jey would then tell Jimmy, "Tell me why you screwed me, or I'm going to throw our entire relationship, our tag team, down the drain." And Jimmy starts to explain himself, and he's very convincing here. This was a great segment. If you didn't catch it, I recommend you rewatch it on YouTube or wherever you can find it. Jimmy tells him, "I wanted to protect you. I wanted to prevent you from becoming a manipulative a-hole like Roman Reigns as the Tribal Chief. I didn't want that power to get in your head and disrupt you in the way that it has Roman." And then we get an a-hole chant from the crowd. And Jimmy tells Jey, he reaffirms to him, "I did this out of love. If you want to kick my face off, go ahead and do it." And you can see that Jey is not only so frustrated with his facial expressions and his hands on his face, but he's conflicted too. He doesn't know what to think. Is my brother with me? Is my twin with me? Or has he aligned with Roman Reigns? What is going on here? Jey would then turn his back to Jimmy as Jimmy decided to then get out of the ring. As Jimmy rolls out of the ring, Jey stays in and Roman starts to laugh and say, "If there wasn't a better time to say I told you so." And then Roman Reigns would ask Jey to acknowledge him, and that's where Jey decides to kick him in the face. And then him and Solo get into a brawl. Solo takes him out from behind and starts to lay hands on him. Jey eventually drops Solo. He gets hit with a Superman punch by Roman. Roman goes for the spear, but Jey counters with a spear of his own. And a key element here is that Jimmy is walking away with his back turned to the ring. He's not willing to look at what's going on, almost as if he knows the beating that's going to ensue. He knows the assault that's going to be laid upon Jey, and he doesn't want to watch that. Jey picks up the microphone, tells Jimmy to hold on. He gets out of the ring, follows him up the ramp, and they're coming close together. Jimmy's looking for the hug, and Jey hits him with a super kick. And then Jey, not even picking up the microphone, just looks into the camera, says, "I'm out of the Bloodline, I'm out of SmackDown, and I'm out of WWE." And he holds up his index and middle finger, giving the peace sign, saying deuces. I am gone. This was an incredible segment, and it's impressive to me that they can continue to churn out these extraordinary moments with this Bloodline angle. It's so awesome. Now, that's a recap of SmackDown and Jey Uso, quote-unquote, quitting WWE. I think we can all realize that more than likely, he's not actually quitting WWE. This is a part of the storyline. WWE did move him to the alumni section of the roster page. I like that they did that. I think this is going to lead to Uso versus Uso, Jimmy versus Jey. Now, I'm not sure when they're going to do Jimmy versus Jey, what event they will have the match take place on August 8th. Reported hearing that at least one creative force backstage wants WWE to wait for WrestleMania to do the first Uso brother versus brother match. However, that's unlikely at this point, I'm told, with the feeling that 35 weeks is too long of a stretch. and I definitely agree with that. I can see that, of course, being a suggestion just thrown out there like, oh, hey, maybe we could wait till WrestleMania to do this and have a big build for it. But in the grand scheme of things, with Roman Reigns needing to drop the Undisputed Universal title, the two belts need to be combined into one, but they're going to have him continue this reign. Of course, he started as Universal Champion, then got the WWE title, and they're using the beginning of that with the Universal title reign to say this is his reign as the undisputed WWE Champion. They're going to use that number to hopefully get him as far as they can and break as many records, with the exception of Bruno Sammartino's all-time record. That's just not going to happen. The theme of this video is supposed to be the bloodline coming to an end, collapsing, crumbling, and we can see that on screen. That's what's happening. It's evident to everyone watching the program. But more than anything, I think WWE is running out of ideas. And this sentiment was echoed by one WWE Hall of Famer, Kurt Angle. He said this on his podcast in response to Paul Heyman, who claimed at the post-SummerSlam press conference that the bloodline is only in the third inning of the saga. Kurt Angle said, "The storyline is great. I love it, but I think Heyman was full of I think they're in the 8th inning and they're stressed. They're making up now. That's what I believe. Paul Heyman, I know him, and I know that he's probably going crazy right now. What do we do next?" And I think that's entirely right. When you look at the bloodline and how successful they have been, and then you had, for example, you added Sami Zayn to the mix, and that extended this storyline beyond belief. This was supposed to be just some one-off little thing, little interaction with Sami Zayn backstage, and it turned into arguably the greatest part of this saga. And it extended the life of this storyline more than anything, and Sami Zayn needs to be given his flowers for that. There's only so many components to work with here. You've got Jimmy and Jey Uso, who can turn on each other and fight. Jay's already gone after Roman. You've exhausted that. Do we really want to see Jimmy go after Roman? Not really. Maybe you do. Maybe I'm being presumptuous here. I would imagine that you don't want to see Jimmy Uso main event a pay-per-view with Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal title. I'd imagine at this point we're going to get Jey versus Jimmy Uso. We'll settle that grudge. I'd imagine if you want a prediction, I think Jey Uso wins. I think given the previous and preceding events, he needs a win at this point over Jimmy. I don't know where you go from there. And then we've got Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. Outside of that, you could potentially do a fatal four-way between Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso for the Undisputed Universal title, but that was something that Dave Meltzer suggested in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and Ringside News came out and said that they had talked to a tenured member of the creative team in WWE, and that idea had not been pitched. Could that just be a way of saving face and making it seem like that's not the direction they're going? That's possibly true. They could have been fed a lie there. That could be what they end up doing. They could change their mind. Plans changed. Cards subject to change. It happens. But I think we're going to get the Usos taking on one another. Jey Uso will come out on top, and we will eventually go to Solo and Roman. The only question I have regarding this is, how does this fit into the grand scheme, the final destination of the Undisputed Universal title outside of the bloodline? Because I think there's a great angle to have there when Roman loses his crown. He's still the tribal chief, but he has no gold. He loses the title, and I think he's going to lose it to Cody Rhodes. I thought he would the first go round, and if he doesn't the second go round, I don't know what WWE's doing. From all reports, they have been planning a rematch between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns since before their initial bout at WrestleMania 39. So WrestleMania 40, night 1 or night 2, I'd imagine probably night 2, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal title, and Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, will get the win, finish the story, as he says, when the title is father never captured officially. That's what's going to happen. But how does the bloodline fit into that? Like I said, the issue WWE is running into, and as previously stated, Kurt Angle makes a great point. Paul Heyman is an incredible storyteller, and I'm sure he is scratching his head wondering, what do? We only have so many moving parts. We are exhausting Jey Uso. We've already had him face Roman. We're now going to have him face Jimmy. We've already had him face Solo. We're running out of options here when it comes to the bloodline. There's only 4 parts parts when it comes to in-ring competitors, and then you have the hovering outside part, which is Paul Heyman, which makes a good element. Sami Zayn was a great diversion and a great way to build interest and intrigue and create a different dynamic between all of the members, and you can still do that with what you have now. It's just you have less moving parts, and sooner or later, as more and more people pull off of the Bloodline, and as it plays out, as Jey faces Jimmy, he's fought everyone in the Bloodline. Now you can't do anything with him. We have to move on. You're probably not going to do anything with Jimmy or Jey after that. Then all you've got is Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman can't step between the ropes for a match. He might take a bump, but all you've got at that point within the Bloodline is Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, and then maybe the Usos on the outside can help Solo or Roman, or one can help the other. That's all you have. So the whole third ending from Paul Heyman, that's just hype that he's building. I completely agree with Angle on that. They are closer to the end, and WrestleMania 40 will be nearing the end of the Bloodline. I still want to see the element of this story where Roman Reigns is now the uncrowned king. He's still the tribal chief without the belts. I think that's important, and I think that is where you then ignite the feud between Solo and Roman. Solo says, you know what, you're not the champ anymore. I'm taking it from here. You've lost your title as tribal chief, and I'm going to prove that you have by taking it from you in tribal combat or tribal warfare, whatever it's called, in a pay-per-view match. After he loses to Cody Rhodes, maybe as a rematch, Solo comes out, he faces Roman Reigns, beats him, maybe Paul Heyman helps him, maybe the Usos help him, whatever which way you want to go with that. That's what I would do with this storyline. How we get there, you can tweak it. But what do you think about the Bloodline? Do you think it's coming to an end sooner or later? My prediction is that it's going to come to an end around, before, or after WrestleMania 40. Ideally, it would be after WrestleMania 40, but we will see. Nonetheless, I think WWE is running out of ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. That's all I've got. I'll see y'all later.